What we're going to work on in this video is how to break down a log, a single log, into multiple logs. Now, our log properties are here on the left, and generally when students look at them, they panic because they're not very intuitive. So let's take each one, let's look at each one slowly and see if we can understand it. So when we look at this first one, what we can see is that an exponent on the inside turns into a coefficient on the outside. So when we look at our actual problem, what we want to do is we want to mark that each one of these exponents will become coefficients. Okay. Now, let's look at the next property. We can see that if a parameter has two factors, meaning something separated by a multiplication, it turns into two logs separated by an addition. Now, I like to look at this a little bit different. When I look at this, I notice that A and B are in the numerator. So factors that are in the numerator turn into positive terms. If we look at down here, A is in the numerator, so it's a positive term, but because B is in the denominator, it's negative. So let's write that down. Terms in the, well, I'll say factors in the denominator are negative. Now, if we were to look at our actual problem and sort of transfer these ideas, anything separated by a multiplication that's in the denominator, that's going to be positive. Anything separated by a multiplication in the denominator, that's going to be negative. So what we want to do is we want to expand this single log into multiple logs. So what we're first going to do is we're going to look at everything separated by a multiplication. So the x and y are separated by a multiplication, and the a and the b are separated by a multiplication. Each one of them are going to get a separate log. Okay, now remember that the exponents will become the coefficients. So the x will get a 2, the y will get a 3, the a will get a 4, and the b will get a 5. Now, anything that's in the numerator will be positive. Anything that's in the denominator will be negative. And now our problem's finished. So let me give you a problem that has all of my tricks in it. Okay. Now, the key thing is to understand is that square root of x plus 3 is the same thing as x plus 1 to the 1/2 exponent. Now, the reason why that's a 2 is that even though it's not written here, the default index for this radical is 2. So what we really want to do is we want to convert this parameter into something that only has exponents. Now, just so we don't confuse ourselves, I'm going to put parentheses around x plus 4. In the previous problem, we mentioned that anything that's separated by a multiplication, so for example, this x squared and that square root of x plus 3, they're separated by a multiplication. It gets its own log. But that's not true if it's separated by an addition. So this x plus 4 will stay together as the parameter of a single log. So now let's look at this and say everything that's separated by a multiplication will get its own log. And let's also remember that any of our exponents, those will turn into coefficients. Anything that's in the top will become positive. Anything that's in the denominator will be negative. Okay. Now, so let's look at, let's separate everything that is separated by a multiplication on top. Now, it's important that you put the parentheses here because if you didn't, the log would only apply to the x. Okay. Now, let's put the coefficients. Anything that's in the top is positive, so that's positive, this is positive, and anything that's in the denominator will be negative, so that's negative. Now we're done. Now there's one more problem. We can go the opposite direction. Now in the past we said that the exponents turn to coefficients. So now, since we're going backwards, where at the end I want to have my answer look something like this, where these three logs are combined together to become a single log. So we're going to go backwards in terms of how we set this up. In the past, we said that our exponents are coefficient. If we go backwards, it means our coefficients become exponents. Okay. We said that anything that's negative will go into the denominator. This is going to the denominator because it's negative. These two terms will go into the numerator because they're positive. All right, so let's see if we can break it down. We have x with the exponent of 2. It's in the numerator because it's positive. We have x plus 4 to the 5th power, and it goes into the numerator because it's positive. And then we have y to the 4th. It's in the denominator because it's negative. Now, this is your answer. Some people will make the mistake and try to distribute this x squared into this x plus 4. You can't do that. The reason why is that this x plus 4 to the 5th power is equal to x plus 4, x times x plus 4 times x plus 4 times x plus 4 times x plus 4. In order to distribute that x squared, you'd have to do a massive FOIL multiple times and then distribute it. So just leave your answer like that. Thank you for watching this video.